Have you ever been tone policed? Spoiler alert, you have. Welcome to Change the Conversation with the Hopefulist. My name is Wendy McClure, and it's time we had a conversation about living in a patriarchy and how that affects our lives. Together, we can make a difference and change the conversation. Hello, and welcome back to Change the Conversation with the Hopefulist. I'm so happy to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about tone policing. And, this word takes sort of different turns. It's all about the one way that they want things to go, how they want women to act. It all comes down to that, but there are different ways to tone police. So we're going to go over a few of those today. The day of this recording, it is going to be almost 60 degrees in February. So we're super excited. Baseball catchers and pitchers, they report next week. So I've got my brand new Phillies hat on. It is super duper cool, if I do not say so myself. It's got flowers all over it and dragonflies, which I love. And I will post a picture so everybody can see. It's, I have to say, fabulous. I love it. So, tone policing. You've probably heard this word before, but do you know what it means exactly? Like, can you define it? Now, if you were not tone policed for your entire life, because this starts as children, very young, your life could look completely different than it does right now. If you weren't always told how to behave, how to talk, how to respond to people. Have you ever been told that you're being too emotional? You're not being rational. I can't discuss this with you right now. How about you're taking this too personally? You're too sensitive. These are ways of letting you know that the way that you are acting, speaking, what have you, are not acceptable to the person that you're speaking to, and it's based on societal norms. So, women have always had this reputation for getting hysterical, and they'll say things like that because it has such a negative connotation. They'll say things like that to you in the midst of an argument to shame you, to make you pull back, to get their point across, knowing that you will pull back from what you're doing because you don't want to be seen as hysterical. It's also a form of gaslighting. So these are some of the things women of today need to deal with. The tone policing is the most dangerous part of living in a society that is patriarchal, because they don't even have to say anything. They've already done it. They've put the rules in place that women are hysterical, women are emotional, women can't think as rationally as men, women aren't as smart as men. These ideas are ingrained. They're ingrained from the time that we are children. So an example of this is when you're a little girl and you're told you have to be polite to your cousins. You have to be polite to your aunt and uncle when they come over. When your uncle goes to give you a hug, you have to hug him because that's what is polite. That's what you need to do. Even though the uncle is creepy, you were still told you have to do it. This is, you're going to hurt his feelings. Because again, we have always put hurting men's feelings above women's safety, women's right to feel safe. And this is how we get conditioned to put ourselves in more dangerous situations because we don't want to come off as looking not polite. We don't want to be looked at as rude. And there's a psychologist that has often said when talking about the safety of women, he said never in any other life form, no other animals or anything would ever, when they feel unsafe, get into a metal box with doors closing, an elevator, with that, flight risk, with that person that is making them feel unsafe, and have them lock themselves in a box. Just because you don't want to say, oh, you know what, I forgot something in my car, I'm going to go back. Or I forgot something in the office, I got to go back. You can make up an excuse. It's terrible that we have to, but this is what we're trying to overcome. We want to get to a place where we can just say, no thanks, I'll wait for the next one, without being ostracized, without being told that we're being rude, without getting a look like, oh my God, what a bitch. Yeah, we need to get to that place, because that's what tone policing has done to us, starting as little girls, rising all the way up to now getting into elevators with people that we don't feel safe with, because intuition is real. If you feel a certain way standing next to somebody waiting for an elevator that you don't know, that is intuition telling you that this may not be a safe situation for you. So the psychologist says there is no other animal that would put themselves in that position. They would flee immediately. All of the other animals would flee immediately. But no, women are trained to just totally disregard their intuition. And in order to be polite, we have to put ourselves in a situation that could end up being dangerous. Will it always? No. Can it? Absolutely. Why would we take the chance? So these are some of the things that tone policing has done to us throughout our lives. And again, I go back to you're too emotional, you're not being rational, you're too sensitive, you take everything so personally. I have to walk on eggshells around you. This is the way to make you suppress your feelings and realize that you are not safe to express yourself. This whole, just let it go to keep the peace. It's letting it go to keep their peace. It's not helping you because it's still inside you and it's building resentment. And if it's with a spouse or a partner, this resentment is going to build. And the next thing that happens that you let go is going to build on that, and so on and so on. And someday somebody's going to drop the salt shaker and you're going to just explode. And then they'll be right. You will look like you're hysterical. So no, staying silent and letting things go are not keeping the peace for you. It's only helping them. And we're not about doing that anymore. We're doing about what's right for us, for what's going to make us feel better, feel good about ourselves. Because men do not hold back when they're feeling something. Well, some men do. Some men do. But there's a majority of men who just let it fly when they're angry about something. They don't care who's in their path. They will just say what they think and go after the person, the perceived threat that's happening to them in that moment. Men are allowed to show anger. Women are not. And this goes back to the fact that, women are conditioned to look at themselves. If something is wrong, look at themselves. Look at what they've done wrong. And they turn the anger on themselves. Where with men, it's quite the opposite. When men find a situation that they think is wrong, they look for who to blame. They use anger to let people know that they're not doing what they should do. So think about those two comparisons. Men blame it on others for the most part. They seek the person to blame for the situation that has them uncomfortable. So it's all external. It's all to what's happening around them, outside of them. But for women, when something's not going the way we want, when we're not feeling like our life is going the way we had planned, we look at ourselves and say, what have I done wrong? What am I doing wrong? What do I continue to do wrong? And men need to start asking more internalized questions. How do I end up in these situations all the time? What is it that is triggering me? Is that something that I need to heal? Yes, this is very deep inside work, and it takes time, and it takes work, and it can be and will be uncomfortable. But this is how you bring your true self out to live your absolute best life. Because I can tell you, I have been looking and reading personal development books my entire life. But it wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago that I started to really dig in deep, that I started to journal every day, that I started to do exercises and workbooks that I got or books that I read, and really, kind of tapped down what it was that I needed to heal, to feel better about myself, to feel better about my life, and what I needed to do to continue to feel better and create the life that I want to live. And it's been uncomfortable. It's been work. Journaling is work. There's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of reflection. And that's not always easy. And healing past wounds and past traumas, that can be really daunting. But if you're willing to do it, when you come out on the other side, you're going to be 100% better. I hesitated because I was like, do I say 90, 95, 100? 100% better. Because my life, since this has started, since I've started doing this really internal work, asking myself tough questions, trying to reframe situations that have happened to learn from them rather than just be bitter about them, my life has completely switched. It is totally turned around. And if there's any of you that are from the original Hopefulist podcast, this is why I decided to do the podcast, because I'd been a pessimist my entire life, and I had finally figured it out. I had finally found a way to make myself happy. But make no mistake, it will take work, and it will take time. It is not a light switch. Just like if you wanted to lose a significant amount of weight, if you wanted to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, that's not going to happen in a month. It's not. It's going to take time. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take creating new habits. And it's going to take assessing what is working and what isn't working. You have to do the same thing with your own internal personal journey. And I will tell you again and again and again, it is worth it. Absolutely 100% worth it. So that is why I offer the empowerment coaching that I offer, because I have a framework that can help you get there faster, that can take you through the steps faster, because I've been through it and I know the framework, and I know that once you start to see things in a different way, you will start to see everything in a different way. And that will open up your entire world. So if you're interested in the empowerment coaching, please visit my website at hopefulist.com and check out the options there. Tone policing also takes on the effect of convincing society that certain types of people are bad. A couple examples of this. Women, as they age, become old, angry, and bitter because they don't want the wisdom that women learn as they age to be taken seriously by those younger than them. That's exactly why they have perpetrated this entire avatar of the old woman who's just bitter and lonely and ugly, and nobody wants to spend any time with them. They continue to do this to discredit older women because they know we have the knowledge. We can talk about our experience, and we know how it can be made better for women. And they don't want any young women to listen to that. And thus far, it's been working. It really has. Another way of tone policing, what do you think of when you hear the word feminist? Yeah, another one that's, angry, bitter, ugly, radical. These are the words that come to my head when I think of feminist. And this was done on purpose. It was planned. They have worked years and years for this to be the idealization of what a feminist looks like and what they do. And they do this because they don't want, and when I say they, I mean society, the powers that be, people in government, politicians. They want to keep this patriarchal society. And there are these rules that you grow up with, hearing about how feminists are bad and you don't want to associate with feminists, because it even goes that far. Because, the definition, the literal definition of feminist is someone who believes that women should be treated equally to men. That's it. That's what it means. And if you're not for that, then I don't know what to tell you. If you think that men should be treated better than women as a woman, you got bigger problems than listening to this podcast. Because that's all we're trying to do, is to be treated equally, to have the same autonomy over our own body that men have over theirs. It's really very simple. The definition is very simple. But people just have this idea of what they will be called if they, if they call themselves a feminist. Because not only do they scare women into thinking that others will see them in this crazy, radical, angry, bitter way, they also convince women to shun those women in public, to not associate with women who do such things that will fight for the rights of women. I have lost a number of friends since I have started with activism, with being more blatant and vocal about my feminism. And these are people who are like-minded, that believe in the same things that I believe. So I can only guess that the reason that they don't want to associate with me anymore is because I go to marches. I'll hold up a sign and march down the street. I'll go to a rally and speak. I'll go to meetings and try and volunteer my time to organizations that are working for the cause that I believe in. Because again, that is seen as radical. So not only do they not want to be that, they don't even want to be around it. They don't want to be associated. They don't want to be asked questions like, what's up with your friend Wendy? Why is she always going off about this, that, and the other thing? Why is she always going to marches and stuff? It seems a little crazy, doesn't it? Doesn't she have anything better to do with her time? And then you feel like you will need to defend me or yourself or whatever. And I get it. It's the tone policing that has come from this patriarchal society since the beginning. It has been going on for centuries. And we are the ones that need to destigmatize it. We are the ones who need to change how this is viewed in society. And we can do it. We are the ones that have the power to make society and patriarchy stop doing this. We are the ones that can make the rules on how behavior is accepted or not accepted. We did it with mental health, with therapy. Remember how voodoo that was back in the day? You wouldn't tell anybody if you were going to a therapist. And I, among many others, have touted therapy and keeping your mental health in order to live a good life, because it's important. And I have always said, and I will continue to say, that therapy would be good for everybody on the planet. Every single person can benefit from therapy. Because going back to the journaling I was mentioning earlier, these are things you can work out by talking with somebody, a trained professional who can guide you to dig deeper and find more answers. I love therapy. I'm not currently in therapy because it's a money issue and they make it so expensive, and, it's just what it is. That's the healthcare system, and that's a whole other topic. But if I were in a financial position, I would be taking therapy every week. I would go every single week, because at the very least, you have a therapy appointment coming up and you think, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to discuss with my therapist this week? And it gives you the ability to just think about things that you're unhappy with, things that are frustrating to you, things that make you uncomfortable, and how to go about fixing it. So that in itself, if you could just ask yourself those questions on your own every week, that would be so beneficial. It would be just exceptional in the growth that it would build in you to lead you to the life that you truly want to live. So we have to be the ones to change the images currently conjured up when it comes to feminists, when it comes to older women, all kinds of things. But it's in our hands. We have the power. We have so much power in numbers, and that's what politicians are afraid of. It's one of the reasons that TikTok is getting so much backlash, because for the first time, we are getting together and we are talking to each other. We're telling others our stories, where before we felt very isolated in things that happened to us. And now we have this opportunity to go on this app and talk about how we really feel. And we realize, hey, we are not alone. And there is power in numbers. And they are afraid, the powers that be, politicians are afraid that we are going to rise up and demand change, because they know the power of numbers. It's us that have not realized it yet. I can only assume that is why women are not out marching in the streets every day to give women back their bodily autonomy. That women aren't marching out in the streets every day because women are being denied life-saving abortions. That women aren't out marching every day when a woman is arrested for having a miscarriage. And speaking of tone policing, I'm glad I remembered this. There was an incident on my own Facebook page, and I am very vocal on my Facebook page. I am very political on my Facebook page. I am very women's rights. And when I first heard about Brittany Watts, who was arrested for having a miscarriage at home on her toilet, I posted about it, about how outrageous it was, about this is where we're headed in this country, that women are being criminalized for being pregnant. And I had somebody argue with me, telling me that it was about something else. It wasn't about women's rights. Not this time. This time it was about how she went about it, that she was, just flushed the toilet, and that is abuse of a corpse. What are you supposed to do? Where are the rules? Was she supposed to call the coroner? Was she supposed to call the police? Where's the rule book that says this is what you need to do step by step if you have a miscarriage? It was a miscarriage. And yes, she was sitting on the toilet when it happened. She had been close to miscarrying for days, for like a week, and the hospital wouldn't do anything for her. because women's lives don't matter. That's what all of this says. And again, women not marching in the streets, going on strike, doing whatever they need to do, whatever they can do to put this to an end, to stop this madness is mind-boggling to me. It truly is. But the woman that came back at me, I came back at her with some other things. She's like, oh, she just went on about her day. Like nothing happened. I said, you don't know that. You don't know how, she went on about her day. She had been pregnant for some time, planning to have a baby and miscarried. I am sure the last thing she did was go about her day like nothing happened. So then in turn, she responded back to me, why the argumentative tone? Disagreements are healthy. And so again, tone policing. That was her tone policing me. And she's done it before. This is one of those people who never chimes in on my personal stuff. If I post a picture of the sunset, of my dog, of birthday pictures, what have you, never comments, never gives a reaction. But every chance she can get, she will challenge me on something that I post about politics or women's rights. So I responded to her, funny, I thought your tone was accusatory. Because if you're going to tone police me, I'm going to tell you exactly what you did. And you came at me arguing. That's what you did. So don't turn it around and make it seem like it's me who has the problem, that I'm the one that's getting all upset about it. When you came out, barrels open, this is not about women's rights. No, that's not, inflammatory or disagreeable or argumentative or accusatory. Don't let these people do it. It's a form of gaslighting as well. Don't let people tell you how you are being. This is very important. So again, we need to be the ones to change the stereotype. And one of the ways that we do this is we need to stop holding women back. We need to empower those who are willing to fight for our rights. We need to empower them instead of distance ourselves from them. And I'm not even saying you need to do the work. Not everybody's cut out for it. It's been a long year and a half since Roe was overturned. I have gone through all kinds of issues, and yet I still get up every day and look forward to doing more of this work because it's what gives me purpose. This is what is meaningful in my life. And if others have a problem with that, then they need to just step aside. I'm going to continue doing what I do no matter what you say or you say or you say. Because I don't need your approval to do what I'm doing. It is my journey. It is my choice. But to those people who have stepped away, I will ask this. Why do you feel the need to disassociate yourself with me when I am fighting for women to be able to live, to have their life saved when they are pregnant, to not be arrested and criminalized for having an abortion, having a miscarriage and taking prescribed medication during their pregnancy and then facing felony child neglect charges after the fact when everything is fine with the child and it was directed by a doctor. Yeah, all of this stuff. Why do you feel the need to step away from me for speaking out about that? Is it not something that you agree with? Do you think that women should be thrown in jail and in some states receive the death penalty for having an abortion? Do you believe that women should be thrown in jail for having a miscarriage? Do you believe that women shouldn't get their lives saved in case there's a minute chance that the unborn baby may live instead? Which is very rarely the case, by the way. I don't know. I just wonder what it is that you support if you can't support those who are willing to do this work. Again, not asking you to do it. Not asking you to do it. But just support and actually empower those who do. I have a friend of mine who I play pickleball with, and I was discussing with her how people must not want to be associated with me because I go to marches and stuff, and then I post the pictures because I'm very proud of it. And she had done some marching, dressing up in like the Handmaid's Tale outfits, and she had gone on a couple of, marches around. We have one of the Supreme Court justices living by us, not living by us, but has a home here. And they were marching out in front of his home, as well as a couple of other places. And she didn't talk about it with anybody. I knew she did it. But I was discussing with her one day how people perceive that. And she said, yeah, somebody had screamed across, the pickleball court one day that she had indeed participated in these marches dressed up as a handmaid. And she said the looks that she got was like, really? Oh my God, I can't believe that you did that. That's crazy. And she looked at me and she said, I think we are gosh darn heroes. She didn't use gosh darn, but she's like, I think we are heroes. And I agree with her. And if you can't be the hero, support the hero. Because you are tone policing the ones who are trying to make things better for everyone. And you are reinforcing patriarchal norms and beliefs that will continue to hold women down, including yourself. Like I said, if you've ever been told that you're being too emotional or you're not being rational or, being told that you're argumentative, that's tone policing. We have all experienced it. So just think a little bit about how it's made you feel in the past, because most of the time it's immediate shame. Oh my God, they're right. I'm freaking out. Why am I freaking out? Well, you're freaking out because somebody just threw something and almost hit you in the head. You're allowed to freak out. That's just an example. But I want you to empower yourself to not fall for this tone policing anymore. And I want you to empower others and lift them up that are willing to do the work. Befriend them. Help them share their message. Do whatever it is that you can feel you can do to support them. But stop tearing them down. We're all after the same goal here. Better lives for women. More equal lives for women. And this is how we start. This is how we start. So thank you for hanging in there, for letting me get through all of my tirades and outbursts and, things went in a couple of directions I didn't expect them to. But I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I hope that you have a fantastic week. I want you to go out there and be badass. I'm always cheering you on. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. Together, we are better. Please visit my website at hopefulist.com and remember to hit that subscribe or follow button.